Peace, family. It is I, Miss Iilah Moon, and welcome to our second episode of Elevating Empaths. Oh, wow, I'm an empath. I named it that for a very interesting reason because I can remember when I found out I was an empath, right? And I was like, oh, it has a name. I just always been this person. But it was cool to find out that it had a name, but then what? Right? And so I wanted to go in this episode and really go back a little bit, give you some background. I know a lot of other people deal with this as well in terms of, okay, so now we know it has a name. Now what? As I go backward a little bit before we can move forward, I think you'll find that there are some key things that come up, and that if you are a fellow empath or a highly sensitive being, that they kind of run parallel. There's some real similarities in how we experience the world, right? Now, if you haven't watched episode one, it was just an introductory video, but I do implore you to do so. It gives a little bit of insight as to what it is that we're going to be moving through throughout the season and what my intention is in terms of being able to create a space where you know that you aren't, number one, alone. Number two, maybe you have something to add to the conversation. Also to empower and uplift us, right? A lot of times the narrative that you hear around the whole empathic community, I'm here to offer a different point of view, possibly. So if you haven't watched episode one, it is under the live tab of my YouTube channel, which if you're not on the YouTube platform watching this, I will have pinned below, okay? So, yes, let's get right in. So, oh, wow, I'm an empath. That's exactly how I felt when I found out there was a terminology for this. Now, for as long as I can remember, I've been a person who was extremely sensitive to my environment. Now, did I have that terminology or those words to initially express it or explain it? I did not. I absolutely did not. I just knew that I was a child, and when I was in certain environments, I would be hella uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like, and I could never put my finger on it. And so I was that person. I also grew up in a family that are not super tuned into emotional health or even emotionally aware a lot of times, right? First of all, I come up in a time, of course, where, I don't even know if emotions were viewed as a real thing. It was like, can I touch it? Can I spend it? Did you eat? I'm making a joke about it, but honestly, that's how it was. And so a lot of times those feelings and those emotions got backburner, but not just for me, just in general, in the family, in the household. And because I was in an environment where those things were not being expressed, as an empath, what did I do? Naturally absorb them, right? So here I am, a young child. I'm absorbing everything that's going on in the household because no one's actually dealing with the emotions that are coming up for them. There are a lot of difficult situations going on within the home on the emotional front, and no one is addressing it. So here I am, little old empath me, right, walking through the house, and it got heavy, and it was heavy a lot. And I can remember being a child and crying, and I would have crying spells, and I would have these crying spells sometimes for a few days at a time, a couple of days, a few days at a time. And like, honestly, I would get a beating because what are you crying for? My response is, I don't know, because I didn't know. And so, I can chuckle about it now because I'm older, but and I'm grateful to have the awareness around it because this allows me to offer insight to, the community from a different standpoint, but and also for those who may have empathic children, right? The environment being heavy, no one addressing certain issues. You find as adults a lot of times you feel like, oh, we keep it from the children, they don't know, but children already have a sixth sense. So then if you have a child who's an empath, it is that much more pronounced, right? And so that was me. And I kind of just moved through my childhood, and you get through it the best way you can. Now, so I've always been that person. Even in middle school, I can remember seventh grade. You got this group of friends, everybody's cool, and everybody has these nicknames, right? And I kid you not, they used to call me grandma, and everybody would come up to me and tell me all of their business. They would tell me all types of stuff, and they would also come and ask me like different questions and stuff. So I've always kind of been this person, right? And so, um, interestingly enough, as I got older, um, what do you do? I started kind of drinking, smoking, the things that a lot of times that people who are empaths, before they realize, and sometimes after, that they do to numb the amount of feelings, right? Because there's so much coming at you. And so you're looking for something to just, I don't want to feel this all day, every day, and not having that, even the context to know what it is. Excuse me, one moment, you all. Hold on one moment. Hold on one moment. You guys forgive me. I am a mom first and foremost, and that was my little empathic human who stays here with me as well. Okay, so as I was saying, and I did lose my train of thought just a bit, but yes, people tend to numb to keep from having to feel the influx of feelings, right? And so as I gotten older, that had been something that I had gotten used to, of course. And then still not knowing I'm an empath, though, still not having the terminology, still not knowing it's a terminology for it, still not knowing really how to handle it. Instead, I'm finding coping mechanisms, not really handling it, just coping mechanisms, right? And so when I got into my late, I'm gonna tell you, I didn't find out that there was terminology till I was in my 30s, right? And it might have been my earlier 30s. I had this job. I'm gonna tell you how it happened. This is when I realized what I was dealing with, and it was an aha moment for me. I had this job at a corporate office, and they offered. I may have told this before in this chat. I'm not sure, but if you all are someone who's been around for a while, you may have heard of this. I had this corporate job, and they offered overtime in our busy season sometimes, and so it's for like a very large grocery retailer, and so I worked in their consumer affairs division, and I came into the office one Saturday for overtime, but it was only one other person in the office, and I was feeling good. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I'm gonna knock these 4 hours out, and we're gonna get it going, right? And so this was wild. I go in the office. I do a walkthrough because I'm the type of person. I'm not comfortable in big offices like that. By my, when it's not a regular work day. This is a Saturday, and even though you have to have a key card to get in and out of the office, I needed to know who was there. So I did the initial walk around. It was me and one other lady there. I didn't know her well, but she worked in the department and she was new. And she had just moved to our department. She had moved from about an hour and a half away, and she was a store manager, but she came to work in the office. And I didn't know much about her. She was a white lady. And she seemed cool. She was really sweet. So I greeted her. I saw her. I greeted her. I went and sat down at my desk. And no sooner now I came in, I'm in this kind of not really bubbly because I'm not a bubbly person in the morning, but I kind of hyped myself up, had my music playing on the way in. So I was feeling good, right? And hold on one moment, because I turn it down, please. Turn it down. Thank you. So I hyped myself up coming in, right? And I sat down at my computer after greeting her, and all of a sudden, tears. All of a sudden, just this wave of emotion came over me that I could not understand. And my eyes started welling up, and I remember saying, "Oh my God, get yourself together. What is wrong with you? You're okay. You were fine. What's happening?" And I'm like really working to pull it together because I can't figure out for the life of me why all of a sudden do I have tears welling up. Now they're starting to fall, and I am just like, what is happening, right? And so I'm gonna tell you, I cracked open. I think when I came in, I might have had a Sprite. I was still drinking soda back then. It may have, so it probably was a Sprite. And when I cracked it open, she popped on my instant message and she said, "Is that a beer?" Jokingly, right? On the instant message, I was like, "Nope, I wish." Haha. And we started having this dialogue back and forth. And as she's talking, and this is over instant message, she starts telling me about some of the hardships that she's going through. She had lost her husband. She had moved here. She didn't know anyone. She took a pay cut when she came into the office. Her son was going away to school, and he got accepted into a rural college, and so she gave him the car. So she was like riding the bus, and she was just really having a difficult time transitioning. To this day, I'm not sure what spirit told me to tell her, but when the message came through, the emotion lifted. Um, I offered to go to a happy hour with her and have a beer. And we actually did, not the same day, but that week. You know what I mean? And that was like it. And I can remember leaving and going, "What was that?" So, and then I was like at the store afterwards, and it was just on my mind. So I called my sister, and I remember having a conversation with her while I was leaving the store. And I said, "It's almost like I could feel her feelings." But once it was over, it was gone. And this was the aha moment. She said to me, "Oh, that's interesting." She said, "Do you think that's why you used to have those crying spells when we were growing up?" And I was like, it was a whole aha moment. It was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly why. And from there, I started to research it, and I found that, okay, I'm an empath. And in religion, sometimes they call it discernment, right? It's very closely related to discernment. Um, uh, in the spiritual community, it's more so considered like clear sentient, I believe, clear sensing, clear feeling. You know what I mean? And so even then, I didn't know exactly where to go with it, but I was able to put a label on it, and I knew I had to do something. Okay, at least now I know what's happening. I'm channeling other people's feelings, you know, and this has been something that has plagued me my entire life, and now I can at least file it, right? And so that is how I learned that I was an empath. But it did not really automatically take off from there in terms of learning how to manage it. That was just the very beginning. I wanted to share a little background because I think if you, by listening to this, it can offer you relatability. If nothing else, you understand that you're not alone, and you can see some key factors that may have played a role in your situation as well. I would love to hear how you found out that you were an empath, or when you first heard the terminology. I think mine has been probably maybe 11, 12 years now. And I'm not sure if that's when I found the terminology. I just know that was what opened it up, and the research started, and I came into the awareness. Oh, excuse me, you all. I've been still fighting with this little respiratory issue that I'm having. Anyway, um, yes, I would love to hear more about your story. If you have a empathic story, how did you find out that you were an empath? I would love for you to drop it in the comments. We're going to continue to explore this situation. This was just a wow on an empath, giving you the background and backdrop of how I realized and how this came together. Um, my next episode, you always hear about the empath narcissist dynamic. So we're going to dive into that a little bit. I'm going to give you background on that, but we're going to offer also, we're going to start to change the narrative, and then we're going to get into these tools and these techniques and things that you can do along this journey to really, really get yourself in a space where you're whole, where you're balanced, where you're healed, where you know how to regulate your energy, when you know to pull back so that you can actually do what it is that you're here to do. You are part of the healing community. And oftentimes these gifts are paired with another type of gift that's unique to what it is that you are here to do. And we're not able to do that if we don't know how to regulate it, right? So, yes, I hope to see you at the next premiere. If you're actually in the premiere, like, share, subscribe, comment. I would love to hear from you. Give me some feedback. Is this something that you can relate to? How did you find out that you were an empath? And um, what do you do in this day and age to kind of try to, or not try to make sure that you're okay? Anyway, until next time, it is I, Miss Iilah Moon. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode, episode 3. We will be speaking about the infamous empath narcissist. That episode is called A Game, a Fish, and a Narcissist. I hope to see you there. Until next time, my highest intention that you were able to get something from this, even if it was just relatability. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. If you are in a space where you celebrate any type of holly/holy day, do with it what you will. Have a good one. Until next time, that's all I got. It's your girl, Iilah Moon. Peace.